David, great to see you. Thanks for taking time out of your day. Tell us what you're up to today.
Well, yeah, today we're actually I'm working with the Motorway. We've done this campaign where they designed some gloves. There you go. So you can actually be in goal with these gloves, or you can drive with these gloves. It was they came to me and it was a good bit of fun. But they're also they were made to measure. We've also got 11 pairs of gloves that will be signed that people can win. So all you have to do is go on the Motorway Instagram site, and everything will be revealed next week with lots of information and lots of photos, because I was actually in goal and I was diving around a little bit and catching balls, which has been a long time ago.
Yeah, rolling back the years, David. The only thing about that is when you keep goal, and you'll know this more than anyone else, they stink. You don't want them in the car.
Well, I was lucky enough to get like a brand new pair every game, so my ones didn't smell.
Okay, I wasn't, and mine did. Right, tell us how much.
Certainly these don't, because these are made of proper leather, so they're decent.
Okay, right, that's the plug. Let's get the plug out of the way. Let's focus on last night's game. How much did you enjoy the win? I know I enjoyed it, specifically that second half performance.
Yeah, when you look at that, you look at the way we played the first half, and I knew exactly that it was going to be like that, because the nerves of the World Cup is massive. Obviously I was fortunate to play in two of them. I was involved in Italian 90 as well, and that first game is always going to be hard because of the nerves and the nervous tension that gets generated. But and the fact that we had to wait so long to get our first game under our belts. So there was a lot of time waiting, but I was so happy. I was so happy with the second half performance. The way that we attacked was just great to see. It's a great game to watch. I actually watched it with Frankie and my mum while my dad was fishing in the garden. He was watching it on his iPad. So it was, and everybody was cheering. That's how good a game it was.
Yeah, certainly was a night to get you up from your fishing stool. That's certainly right. Now, you played in those two World Cups that you mentioned. You went to a third in Italy. How key is it, though, to start a big major tournament with a win?
It's good for momentum, definitely, because, but it doesn't mean to say that you can't win it. Obviously, Argentina lost their first game and then they went on to win it. It's trying to get momentum, get the fans behind you, get everybody being positive rather than being negative. Because obviously, trust me, when everybody's positive and giving you praise, it makes you play better. There's no doubt about it. When you've got to deal with a lot of stick and a lot of people being negative about you, it becomes difficult.
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of the players, specifically the captain, Harry Kane. Anthony Gordon also talked about Thomas Tuchel's halftime team talk last night. So it was 2-2 at the break, and they came out after the 15-minute break and just blew Croatia away. Is this another sign that Thomas Tuchel has the tools to get the very best out of this squad?
It looks like it. Only time will tell. When you look at the game, apparently he made a fantastic speech at halftime. Everybody was thinking he was going to be ranting and raving, and apparently it wasn't. It was just a very well informed speech, and it did the job. Because like you say, we came out that second half, and the chances that we created. The Croatian goalkeeper was making save. He even made a triple save from a corner. That's how much we're on top. And he certainly kept them in the game. Yet he let 4 goals in, but it could have been almost double figures if it weren't for him.
Yeah, curious one for the goalkeeper. He'd be walking off, holding his head high, going, I had a great day. Let in 4 goals, but if it wasn't for me, it could have been 10.
Exactly.
Jude Bellingham scored a brilliant goal last night, and it was at a really key moment in the game. 2-2, and he got the ball, and he drove and smashed it into the back of the net. Does that now end any kind of debate over whether or not Jude Bellingham should be a starting player?
Yeah, but for me, that was never a debate. For me, he's a quality player. People don't go to Real Madrid and perform like he does and then get left out of your international team. He's too good a player to leave out. And some of the glimpses that we saw yesterday were fantastic. And then to top it all, he produced a goal like that. The run, the control. Okay, the finish wasn't the best, but it was the best because it went in off the post. That one of them little bobble finishes are so hard to read as a goalkeeper because you don't know what they're going to do. Sometimes you can read their body shape or their foot angle, but when they bobble it like that, it's so hard. But yeah, he's quality. He's a quality player, and I can't wait to see the rest of the World Cup with him.
Yeah, that's gushing praise. So, for my money, there's at least two world-class players in the England squad. Bellingham would be one and Kane would be another. Are there any more, can you think of? Would Rice fit into that bracket?
Definitely, with the season that Declan's had as well, and don't rule out Jordan as well. The job that he does for England, Jordan Pickford, because he's such an important player for us. Not just because of the saves that he makes, but his distribution. There's sometimes the passes that he makes, the little bounce passes that he can do as well. So there's a few in there, and that's a good sign when you've got quite a few key players in your team that have got a great chance of really producing. Then we've got a good chance. I'm feeling good. I made a little prediction at the start of this season. I said Arsenal win the Premier League, Leeds stay up in the Premier League, and England win the World Cup. And I'm still smiling.
Did you have a flutter?
I don't know. I didn't. No.
Okay, well, the odds would have been pretty good on that. You mentioned Jordan Pickford, and you're saying that you see him as, if not world-class, then very potentially world-class. Can I play devil's advocate and say he's got his hand to that opening goal from Croatia last night? Should he do better?
The pace beat him. That's what I've noticed, and I've seen it do it. There was another goal that Mbappe scored. When you watch that and you watch where it goes in, you think, "Oh, the goalkeeper should do better." But the pace of the ball, I trained with these balls in soccer aid, and they're a lot faster than normal ones. So I think that's catching the goalkeepers out a little bit. And as a goalkeeper, when you get that much of a hand on it, you hope to make more of a deflection on it. So I would imagine that Jordan will look at it and think, but the pace of it and the fact that I don't think he saw it till late. That's the reason that he got beat. Yeah.
So Harry Kane has started the tournament with 2 goals. I wonder what you made of his first penalty, the one that he got away with and was able to retake, that stutter step run up.
Yeah, it's a strange one because that normally with that stutter, they're looking at the goalkeeper and they're always looking at the goalkeeper and waiting for it to make a move one way or the other. But as a goalkeeper, you've now got to learn that if they're going to do that, try and stand up. Just try and stand up as late and leave it as late as possible, because all of a sudden, a good penalty taker might hit one that's not as good. But even his second penalty, he put it almost in exactly the same spot without the stutter, but the goalkeeper went the other way. So everybody thinks it was a good penalty. I was thinking to myself, that's savable. If the goalie guesses the right way, he saves that.
Wouldn't you, David?
Pardon?
You'd have saved it. Even these days with those gloves on. Right, Lionel Messi scored a hat-trick. Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe and Harry Kane have scored 2. That says to me that the battle for the Golden Boot could well be the most exciting for some time.
Yeah, when you look at some of the finishes as well that these guys are producing, it's just so... I nearly said it's so good to watch, but as a goalie, I'm like, yeah, it was all right. But no, to be serious, it's there's some quality finishes out there, and they're doing it. When I was watching Messi, some of his finishes were fantastic. He had one that was disallowed as well. That was brilliant finish. But then what I found strange last night was the fact that they left Harry Kane unmarked on a set piece. And like Declan can pick out anybody on a set piece, and that's exactly what he did. And it was a fantastic header. But with Harry, you've got a guy there that's got so many different finishes, and it's so hard to read what he's going to do. That's why he's so good.
I've noticed a bit of a clamour on social media for Marc Guéhi to come in for the second match against Ghana on Tuesday. He would be a natural left-footed, left-sided centre-back. As a goalkeeper, would you prefer that dynamic, to have a right-footer on the right side and a left-footer on the left, or is that not that important?
Ideally, it's better because of the different angles and then the different balls that they can play down the wings with their left foot or the right foot on the right side. I think that what we saw last night was like a back four that's not played together very often, because they weren't reading each other enough. I remember obviously back to my day with the Arsenal back four, and they could like defend almost with one eye closed because they knew exactly what each other was going to do. And what I saw last night was that there was a few gaps that appeared, and that's just through lack of playing together. So whether Thomas Tuchel changes that and puts Guéhi in, we'll have to wait and see. But it's just trying to get match time, but match time where the pressure's on. Like in these games, the World Cup. And okay, it was great. It was a great win against Croatia, and we should be okay to qualify. So use these games as a building up team play and team pattern in that back four.
Yeah, I felt a bit for Croatia and their back line when England started making the substitutions from an already built position of strength. They bring on the pace and the skill of Rashford and Rodgers, and they must have just thought, what's going on? Saka's on as well. Do you think that Marcus Rashford coming on and scoring in his second half cameo has earned him a start for Ghana?
It might do, just the fact that we got the 3 points early. But coming on as an impact sub like that is brilliant as well. And a lot of the players will have to do that. Even with Bukayo coming on and affecting the game like he did. Finding Rashford for his goal and all the other guys. It's the quality that we've got on our bench is scary. And the quality we've got in the team is just as scary. So everything's looking really good for hopefully a very long run in the World Cup.
Yeah, just want to ask you one more on Jordan Pickford. And I know how highly you rate him. You've already told us that. But there is, in my mind, no pressure on his position. He knows he's the undisputed England number one. No, regardless of how good Dean Henderson has been this season, Jordan Pickford will always be in goal. You had periods in your career where Nigel Martyn was nipping at your heels. Do you think it's better for a goalkeeper to know that they're number one or to feel like they have to prove it game in, game out?
It depends on the goalkeeper. I enjoyed that competition. But I remember I had Peter Schmeichel on my podcast, and he said that he hated having a guy like a really good understudy because he didn't want that pressure. He wanted to just focus on being the number one. So with Jordan, he's the number one by a long way, experience-wise, the amount of caps he's got. My only worry is that if there's a little niggle to him, what happens? Because, with Henderson and Trafford, they've not got a lot of caps between them. So for me, wrap Jordan up in cotton wool and let him crack on and do what he keeps doing, which is playing brilliantly for England.
David, it's been great to talk to you. I just want one word for this next answer. Is it coming home?
Definitely. I need to say I hope so then. That's not one word.
That's not one word. You'll do for me. David, great to talk to you. I do a lot of miles, so send us a pair of them driving gloves, won't you?
Bye. Take care.